Hello, BookTube. We're continuing on with a shelf tour of the fourth big wall bookcase, the fifth and final shelf, and it's part two. So we'll get right to it. First volume here is Eleanor of Aquitaine, The Mother Queen by Desmond Seward. It's one of those Barnes & Noble reprints, which I'm a big fan of. They keep in print or bring back to print a lot of important historical works, especially that I pick up when I see them. So, copyright was original in 1978 by Desmond Seward, and Barnes & Noble put this out in '93. Here's Archbishop Hubert Walter from his tomb at Canterbury Cathedral. Here's Oxford Castle in Suffolk. Let's see what else we got in here. So here's the beginning of a new section, chapter 8. In King John, Shakespeare portrayed Eleanor as a cankered grandam, governed by lust for power, who schemed against her husband Henry II, a crime for which she spent 15 years in prison, and dominated her children's lives, ruthlessly turning them against their father, the king. It's also well known that she feuded bitterly with at least one daughter-in-law and contributed to the death of her own grandson. And yet there was another side to this powerful queen consort, splendid in person, rank, and fortune. Well, there you go. This next one is a magnificent history. I really loved it. You can see mine was a remainder, usually when you see that little black mark. It's by John Hale, The Civilization of Europe in the Renaissance. Beautiful cover there. Let me see here. We have other books of his in the collection. Athenaeum, New York, 1994. So it's what it says it is. It's a survey of the civilization during the Renaissance. Amply illustrated, you know, just a great history, and very well, reads very well, even with as much material as it has. Excuse me. So one I'd highly recommend, one of the better histories. Then we go to this next one, Stephen O'Shea, Sea of Faith, Islam and Christianity in the Medieval Mediterranean World. So maybe that one's a little out of place on the shelf, but that's all right. Walker and Company, New York, 2006. Here's Mr. O'Shea. Let's see. There we go. It's illustrated throughout, and it's good little history. Then this is one of those Wordsworth military library books. This is The Great Siege, Malta, 1565 by Arnold Bradford. I like these little volumes when I see them around. This was originally published in Great Britain by Hodder and Stoughton in 1961. Wordsworth did this in 1999. They're short, very focused military histories. In this case, about Malta. Oh, my cat's getting excited. He sees a bird at the bird feeder. Alright. Then we get to a big section here. Well, not big, but a section here of books on Venice. Here's Venice, Lion City, The Religion of Empire, by Gary Wills. read quite a few of Mr. Will's books, and we've got some others. Moving along, Venice again. Venice Rediscovered by John Premble. Now you could probably do just a wall of Venice histories. Clarendon Press, Oxford. And this came out in 1995. Here's a map of the city. So he's basically talking here, how does the city become an icon? During the 200 years since its political extinction, the shabby relic of a despised tyranny has transformed into a great modern cultural symbol by the work of such eminent Venetophiles as Ruskin, Proust, Mann, and Henry James. John Premble shows how American and European outsiders developed an obsession with the idea of a dying city which must be preserved at all costs, how they reconstructed the imagery as well as the architecture of Venice, and how the Victorian need to restore was supplanted by a wish to conserve without altering the remains of this fragile inheritance. Very fascinating book. And then, an author I really enjoy. This is Venice. Beautiful thing. Pure City. It's by Peter Ackroyd. Nan A. Talese, Doubleday, New York, 2009. This has this little band here. So it looks like that without the band, if you see it like that. I don't think you can use it. You can't go wrong with a Peter Ackroyd. I enjoy what he does. He's a bit of a character. Nothing wrong with that. The world needs characters. I enjoy his writing. He's a good popularizer. He's a hack, in the best sense of the word. And then this one is Frederick C. Lane's Venice, a Maritime Republic. And Venice certainly was maritime. That was the whole point. The canals led somewhere. So changing fleets and shipyards. Carracks, or Carracks, depending on who you talk to, setting sail. So this thing was Johns Hopkins University Press, Baltimore and London, 1973. So that was our last Venice book. Like I say, you could build a whole wall shelf, bookshelf, not hold those Venice books. Well, that's not true. It's not our last Venice book, depending on how you define Venice books, because Marco Polo is from Venice. But this is Lawrence Burgreen, author of Over the Edge of the World, which I have not read. Marco Polo, From Venice to Xanadu. Excuse me. This is Alfred A. Knopf, New York, 2007. As the most celebrated European to explore Asia, Marco Polo was the original global traveler and the earliest bridge between East and West. A universal icon of adventure and discovery, he has inspired 6 centuries of popular fascination and spurious mythology. Now, from the acclaimed author, comes the first fully authoritative biography of one of the most enchanting figures in world history. In this masterly work, Marco Polo's incredible odyssey along the Silk Road and through all the fantastic circumstances of his life is chronicled in sumptuous and illuminating detail. So there's Marco Polo there. They have the author, picture of the author here. Here's the author of the book. And then you can tell we're going to change focus, even though this is the last book in this part. It's leading into the next section, and that's Norman Davies' The Isles, A History. And the Isles, of course, being the British Isles. This is Oxford University Press, 1999. Lovely picture from space. Some of the flags. Artwork. Now let's see. At the early stages, the Isles connects offshore development with parallel events on the continent. The richly layered history begins with prehistory and the Celtic supremacy in the last centuries BC, which is presented in light of a Celtic world stretching all the way from Iberia to Asia Minor. Roman Britain is seen not as a unique phenomenon, but as similar to other frontier regions of the Roman Empire, such as Germany. The Viking Age is viewed not only through the eyes of the invaded, but from the standpoint of the invaders themselves, Norse, Danes, and Normans. Plantagenet England is perceived, like the Kingdom of Jerusalem, as an overseas extension of medieval France. In the later chapters, Davies follows the growth of the United Kingdom and British Empire and charts the rise and fall of the main pillars of Britishness: the Royal Navy, the Westminster Parliament, and the constitutional monarchy, the aristocracy, the Protestant supremacy, the civil service, law, imperial economy, and sporting tradition, and the English language. Quite a job. So that was the fourth Big Wall bookcase. Shelf 5, which is the final shelf of this case. And that was part 2. Thank you, BookTube.